G'day. Like stories? Well, I'm going to tell you one. Because a good story is a good thing, like a good wine or a good soil. Now, this soil is Australian, it's good. It feeds these vines and these grapes, and best of those make their way into some of Australia's best wines. Lindeman's wines. This story is about Henry Lindeman, founder of Lindeman's, an Australian winemaking pioneer. Now, while Henry's story is all about soil, grapes and wine, and ended here, it started somewhere else. Britain, 1811. Henry John Lindeman was born at a shipbuilding settlement in Hythe of Southampton. Noughts and crosses, chalk, cold knees, shipmasts in the sky. At 14, Henry became an apprentice to his father, a doctor, before going to St Bartholomew's, the oldest surviving hospital in England. Then in 1834, Henry graduated and became a member of the Royal College of Surgeons. Now, the next few years are a bit uncertain. He may have gone back to Hythe or he may have stayed in London. What's more likely is he probably went off to France and Germany, visiting the vineyards and cellar doors of Moselle, Alsace, the Rhone Valley, Burgundy, Bordeaux, whetting his appetite, as it were, for the fine art of an entrepreneurship. What is certain is that Henry met a beautiful girl called Eliza Harriet Brummel. And in 1840, they married, packed up their lives, and went to the docks and caught a ship to Australia. Henry was the ship's surgeon. Daily roll calls at the mainmast, blood on sawdust, brimstone, sails in the sky, and then land. The journey ended in Gresford on the Paterson River, with the purchase of a massive 816 acres of prime Australian soil, a property called Kawarra. Now, the Lindemans built a timber and bark slab cottage, and the first of the vines went in 1843. The same year, the couple had their first of 10 children. Now, as the first of the Lindemans' Rieslings, Verdelho and Shiraz grapes prospered in the rich alluvial Australian soil, Henry made an announcement, a commitment that would define his wines. Unlike his contemporaries, Lindeman pledged that he would not release any of his wines until they'd matured. Now, in a country with a penchant for hard liquor and preference for strong, immature and fortified wines, Henry was laying the foundations for a new appreciation, a European style of wine. Henry got very active, publishing articles and rallying the government to endorse his new, lighter style of wine. By 1850, 7 years in, things were looking good. Now, Henry had acquired 2 more vineyards, and his cellars were holding an astonishing 75,000 litres of wine. 7 years winemaking and not a drop released. Now, that's what I call patience. But, like all good stories, Henry's had adversity. September 13, 1850, the cellar at Kawarra was set on fire. Now, thousands of litres of wine, farming equipment, food, casks and vats, all destroyed. Now, financially the cost would have been enormous, but just imagine for a second how Henry felt. A large sum of his whole Australian work destroyed, just like that. But Henry didn't give up. He set off to the nearby gold mine to recoup his funds, working as a doctor. Dust, noise, fortune, failure, boots and gold. It took 2 years, but in 1853, Henry commissioned the rebuilding of his burnt-out cellars in stone. He went back to his grapes. It worked. He was a success, a big success. By 1862, Henry's wines had travelled across the high seas back to his home ground, where his Australian Lindeman's Kawarra was acclaimed at an international exhibit in the City of London. Now, by 1870, Henry had an established headquarters, winery, bottling complex at the Exchange Cellars in Pitt Street, Sydney. And Lindeman's had become one of the country's biggest operators, hugely successful at home and abroad. In 1879, Henry officially recruited 3 of his 5 sons into the management of the business, Charles, Arthur and Henry Jr. Then at 70 years of age, Dr. Henry Lindeman, traveller, man of medicine, father of 10, Australian pioneer and visionary, immensely successful businessman, and award-winning winemaker, died at home in Kawarra. Now, Henry's boys, now men, took over. The company continued to flourish. There's many highlights, but that's another story. A story about the 1912 purchase of the Benin winery in the Hunter Valley, where the cellar door still exists today. A story about Henry's business getting so big that it became publicly listed. A story about glory at the Melbourne Olympics. Expansion into Coonawarra. A story about hundreds of awards. Awards like the coveted Jimmy Watson Trophy. And facts like Lindeman's Bin 65 becoming one of Australia's largest and most successful exported wines. Now it's Henry's 200th birthday. His philosophy, values and focus on lighter style wines continues to inspire Lindemans today. Have a look for yourself. Consistent, easy drinking, fruit driven, balanced Australian wines. Cheers.